So, on April 14th, 2020, I received a message that read, "I have an IQ higher than that of a fork." And I mean, that's great for her, I guess, but that's also not at all informative of her IQ number. But you know what? It was late and I was tired, so I didn't think twice about that comment. Unfortunately, the day after, and for the next 5 weeks after that, the IQ of a fork has been something that's haunted my nightmares. So, today I've decided to embark on a mission to find the true intelligence of life's most majestic object, the humble fork. Okay, so the first thing I did was consult Twitter, since that's the easiest way to get answers from the internet. Also, putting what's the IQ of a fork into Google yielded approximately 0 answers, so that didn't work. And I got 3 comments on my tweet, which is honestly really good considering I have like 8 followers and that's like a 37.5% audience engagement. But the downside is that I only got 1 legit answer, which was fork. And then Veronica said that a fork can't have IQ, to which I say, hold on, Veronica, I'll get to that soon. She also said 10 in a way, kinda, so I'll add both of those to this handy dandy spreadsheet I made. And we're just gonna ignore the part where I get canceled due to some ethical violations. So now I have an answer from Twitter from the sample size of 2 replies, and I don't know about you, but I'm not really satisfied with saying that the IQ of a fork is 7, because the lowest classification of IQ I could find was moderately impaired or delayed, which starts at 40 IQ. So I decided to do a little more digging into this. The definition of IQ, or intelligence quotient, basically says that it's a number which represents a person's abilities compared to the standard for their age. So we can think about it as mental age over chronological age multiplied by 100. So that means if your mental age is that of a newborn baby, your IQ is 0. Also, at the exact point of birth, a more than average baby's IQ is a number which seems to be beyond the understanding of this mortal realm. Anyways, if we ignore the fact that a fork is obviously not a human being, we can use this quotient to calculate its IQ. On May 19th, 2009, a user named JGames posted an argument to his forums on tapatalk.com stating that the IQ of a rock must be 100, since a rock's intelligence would be equal to the expected intelligence of a rock. Anything over itself is 1, which is equal to 100 IQ. And we can assume a fork works in a similar way, not because forks are made from rocks, because that would be a genetic fallacy, which is bad, but because they are both inanimate objects. But there's a couple issues with this logic. Firstly, we can't say for sure that every fork has the exact same IQ, can we? And so what if they're different? So for any given fork, it may not be the same as the standard. Also, what is the intelligence of a fork? Most would say 0, but if that was the case, the IQ of a fork would be the same as that transcendental baby we talked about earlier. So really, this is where it looks like we have to stop. That is, if I didn't get that targeted ad for IQ tests. I mean, giving a fork an IQ test is kind of ridiculous, but I ended up spending a few hours, days, months, years of my life crafting up a plan for how this could work, and it sort of looked like this. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, right? So we'll get, on the floor, we'll have a little thing, we'll go A, B, C, D, and then let's say this is the fork, right? So we'll drop the fork here, and then it'll fall, and I'll be like, yay, the fork chose C. So then you have the IQ test, right? And then it'll be like A, B, C, D, and we'll say, yeah, the fork chose C, and then it'll be like, yeah, you're right, you're so smart, your IQ is like 200,000, and that's basically it. And that idea was great in theory, but it was also great in practice. For the rest of the questions, I just continued on like that, dropping the fork and then filling out the IQ test for whatever the fork said. Eventually, I ended up just dropping the fork a bunch of times in a row, writing down where it fell, and then going back to the test and putting them in all at once. And even though this test was only 10 questions, I think that saved a lot of time not having to go back and forth. If you're gonna yell at me because I didn't tell the fork what question it was answering, so it couldn't have answered it right, I only have one thing to say, and that's it's a fork. And the results of the test were very inconclusive because it wouldn't give me an answer under 100, it just told me my IQ was under 100. Okay, so that IQ test kind of sucked because it didn't give you IQ values under 100, so I found another one, and hopefully this one does tell me how dumb my fork is. So the only problem is that this test is only true or false, so we're gonna have to make some changes to our little fork dropping thing. So what we're gonna do is just simply, and then we're just gonna go and done. Is this a good idea? What is that supposed to mean? So I basically just did the exact same thing as the first time, except now obviously there were only two choices, which were true or false, and this IQ test was a little bit longer. It had 38 questions, so it involved a lot of fork dropping, so I just did all the fork dropping at the same time at the beginning, and then put it into the IQ test after, so that's why you see the timer start at like 4 minutes or whatever. And then it turned out you had to pay $14.95 to even access your IQ results, so I dropped a fork 38 times for nothing, and I gave my email to a website that's probably gonna spam me for the rest of my life. That's great. So in the end, I did end up finding a website that worked. I did the test 4 times and got answers of 59, 69, 48, and 57. So I just took the average of those, slapped them on my spreadsheet, and I just disregarded the results I got from any other tests I did because they were just not as great as this janky website. Okay, so looking at the IQ test results, our fork has the average IQ of 58.25, which if we look at the chart, that puts us at a mildly impaired or delayed, which really is not that bad. I'll take it, it's a fork. Look, this just looks like a smiley face. So let's take a final look at our spreadsheet here. I took the average of all 3 areas we tested, and I did play around with the weightings, so that Twitter was worth 20%, logic was worth 30%, and the IQ test was worth 50% because I think that was the best way we could really scope the IQ of our fork. And what I got was 60.525 as the IQ, and since we're feeling generous today, I'll round it up to 61. So that puts our fork at mildly impaired or delayed, just like the IQ test did. So I think we can say, you know, the IQ of a fork, it's 61. But research is useless anyway. We have to remember that at the end of the day, this is a gaming channel, and there's no one smarter than the video gaming community. Fun fact, the most watched game in YouTube in 2019 was Minecraft. Fun fact number 2, Minecraft is the only game I have downloaded since I broke my computer last week. I think you can see where this is going. And if you're thinking, Papa's Scooperia, that's where I thought it was going too, but apparently when you ask the customers what the IQ of a fork is, they don't respond. So instead of doing that, oh my gosh, why am I actually nervous to do this? Okay, quick question for you guys. What's the IQ of a fork? Okay, please answer, please answer, please answer. Fork. Same as yours, I guess. What is 0? Because it's an inanimate. See, we went over that. Timers was taken. We went over that. Okay. Okay, thanks. So, I'm gonna say fork.